Body autonomy. The idea that all this is yours. Well, you are your equivalent of it. All of you is yours. The idea that you ought to be able to, as long as you are educated and understand the possible consequences of doing something, you ought to be able to do anything to your own body. If you want to drink until you're puking up your guts for 5 days, you ought to be able to. If you want to inhale, snort, inject, smoke, inject, lots of injections, consume, eat, drink, shove up your butt, anything, you ought to be able to if you will fully understand the possible consequences. If you want to brand yourself, burden yourself, tattoo yourself, slice up yourself, and you know the consequences and you understand them fully with sound mind, you ought to be able to. If you want to get a medical procedure done, if you want to circumcise your own genitalia, given if you, as an adult, fully consent to having your own genitalia done. Not talking about any children, because children are not able to consent to that. Therefore, why are babies strapped down and their genitals mutilated? If you consent to it as an adult with sound mind, you ought to be able to do it. And you know, this does touch on abortion, which is why I feel that because I don't know that woman, I shouldn't be able to tell her what to do with her body. Because, trust me, any woman who goes in for an abortion, they fully know, because that is part of the laws, that they fully understand the process and fully understand the consequences. Many women leave those clinics after they go through their first couple of rounds of counseling before they get their procedure done. Some don't. The idea, body autonomy, it would touch on end-of-life decisions, ending your life as a decision. If somebody is of sound mind and fully understands the consequences in ending their own life, then they ought to be able to. End-of-life decisions as in your end-of-life medical things. Like my fiance and my parents and I have discussed this. If there is no activity on my brain and my heart and lungs are still working, go ahead and harvest my organs. If there's nothing up here, I'm dead. And my organs could be put to a whole lot better use than somebody else. Body autonomy. The right to always say no. That if you don't want something done to your body, you have a right to stop it immediately. Body autonomy. The idea that you can market yourself in any way you wish, which is why I'm in support of prostitution according to the Nevada model. Consenting adults, healthy situation. I'll put a link below to which explains the Nevada model better, done by ThePeach, I believe. Whether you want to get laid for a living or scrub toilets, as long as you consent to it, you're marketing your own labor, and you have a right to, I think, according to my ideas about body autonomy. You always have a right to safety, whether you are using gloves and a face mask or whatever when it comes to safety on the job. You have a right to safety. Which, you know, that kind of does tie it back to the firearm issue. I mean, I think pepper spray, tasers, and other safety things like that, totally cool. I don't know how I feel about firearms, but, you know, since I believe in an individual's right to protect themselves, a firearm could fall into that category as a way to protect, for a person to protect themselves. But then again, the issue of fully understanding the repercussions, and what might happen if an individual is forced to use that means of protecting themselves. Body autonomy. All this is mine. And as long as I fully understand and of sound mind, when I make a decision to do something to my body, I ought to be able to do it. Now, this does go against some people's thoughts, like obviously the abortion issue, or medical practices, or even decorating your body. There are some people out there who think that paint goes on houses and decorations go on a Christmas tree. Or at least that's how somebody I recently talked to put it. But you know what? If I want to get branded, which I honestly do, I will talk about that in a different video. If I want to get a mark put into my skin, that's my own choice. You know, I've talked about cutting, and I've been through it. When I look at my scars, am I glad that they're there? Can't say that I am, but you know what? They're part of me, and they help me remember, just so that's a part of my life that I don't want to forget. And I would assume that that's part of the reason why many people get tattoos, is because that is something that they've been through or something that they want to remember deeply. You know, it's a hard issue, because where does body autonomy stop? My autonomy stops at the point where somebody else's starts. Do I encourage drinking and driving? Hell no. Because that would be you using your body autonomy to infringe upon somebody else. Because if you are in a moving vehicle and you are under the influence of an intoxicant or something, then you are putting at risk the other people's body autonomy right to safety. Somebody always has a right to be safe, and if I'm out doing something stupid which might put them at risk, then that would be infringing upon them like that. Or again, with the firearm issue, I have a right to protect myself. I have a right to protect my home. But then again, even that would-be burglar has a right to not die by my own hand, which I guess is yet another point as to why I'm very undecided about firearms. But my point, body autonomy, it's an interesting thought, and I'd be curious to hear all of your thoughts on this. What you guys think about it. Any ideas that you might have as relation to it. Whether you think that it's a good idea or a bad idea, just as a thought. Peace out, YouTubes.